tarot since I was 6, you can say. And it's not until recently this year that I'm actually starting to read myself really successfully. Like it's really fluid. I'm getting a lot of messages from spirit. I'm getting a lot of visuals, and I there's like no hesitation, as opposed to when I'm reading for another person, everything's just instantaneous, and I like completely trust what's coming through.
Awesome.
So this for some reason I've like unblocked something, or just been more receptive to reading myself in the same manner. And it's just a willingness to just kind of trust whatever pops up on an intuitive scale. And I think a lot of it has to deal with my tarot meditations every morning that I practice with. Okay. I just literally pull out a card for everybody. And I don't second guess what I'm writing down, but I just like write what I think that meaning pertains to everyone as a grand scale for that day. Right. And so you could do the same thing for yourself and kind of keep a tarot journal. It's really great with intuitive development. And also doing personal meditations, like trying before you wake up, like doing some like Reiki or chakra healing on your third eye, or in your throat chakra and stuff. I don't know if you do that, but I find that that's really helpful. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. You have to read the books, though. I don't rely on the books so much, but I think just kind of getting some sort of grounding as to what the cards mean on a basic level helps a lot.
Yeah.
You know?
I've been referring to this one website, like it's called like Biddy Tarot.
Biddy Tarot!
Yeah,
I love her.
Yeah, and that's where I always go, and I'm like, I have no idea what this really means.
She's excellent. I'm starting to do some more research on that too, because I inevitably would like to kind of come up with my own interpretation of like a book or something that I can put online. Mm-hmm. But I've been reading hers. I've been reading, I don't even know what it is called. It's eclectic or aesthetic tarot. That has a lot of like esoteric and occultish interpretations. Like dives deep into like Kabbalah and numerology and stuff like that, in terms of what the cards mean.
That's cool, because the numbers phenomena has been happening to me all like this past year. Just started happening. So that's been really cool too. Yeah, that's really awesome.
Wow, that's crazy. So what do you mean? Like you're seeing a lot of numbers pop up in repetition, or?
Yes. Yep. Lately a lot of like 636, 639.
6 and 3.
Yeah.
6 and 3.
And then
636.
A lot of repeated 22s. So it'd be like 1122, 822, 1022. Which is funny though. I read the interpretation, but whenever I think of talking to someone or speaking to someone about something maybe that I've been putting off for a while, if I look over and I like look at the clock and it says 22, I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm supposed to go talk to this person right now, and I do. It's really funny.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, usually those things pop up generally as a message, right? But we need to be aware of what's going on at that moment that we notice those numbers to see what that message could mean. And I was gonna say, like, what is it that you're usually experiencing when you see these numbers in repetition? Like, are you thinking something particularly, or are you feeling a type of way that it just has these numbers kind of pop up as an affirmation?
Yep. Yeah, exactly that with the 22s all the time. And then 33, I know to like ask my guides for help if I'm getting like too negative minded or too caught up in like a situation where I need to know something, and then I'm just like, see a 33, I'm like, okay, well, guides and angels, please help me with this. So that usually helps.
There's also like, God, I don't really read a lot of her stuff, but she's well versed on that. She has a book. Her name is Doreen Virtue, and she has a book
Mm-hmm.
on repetitive numbers called like angel numbers.
Yeah.
And so I think she breaks it down, all the patterns and what those patterns particularly mean.
Mm-hmm.
Not all numbers have the same interpretation. So like I don't really remember. It's been a while since I've read it, but 444 means something completely different from 555 and
Uh-huh.
222 and 1122 and all that stuff. But it's good to write it down, even in your like cell phone, when you notice it, because that's a pattern that we need to keep track of.
Yep.
It's also like an ascending process. You're definitely like spiritually getting down to the nitty gritty and filling in the pieces, and like you're growing, you're maturing, your soul's maturing.
Yeah.
So that's dope.
Yeah.
That's dope to see that.
Yep.
Yeah.
But so I was wondering, I guess I'll ask you about yourself now, but so did you grow up in a family that was open to tarot and occult and
yes and no. Yes and no. I grew up with my dad and my dad's side of the family, and I'm not really connected with my mom. Mm-hmm. So my dad is very, very open-minded. I've been very fortunate to have someone at least expose me to all this at a very young age. Like I'm talking about like aliens and ancient civilizations and ESP, past life regression, meditations, all that stuff. Like my dad had books on all of it.
Wow.
So that's where I was exposed to it, you can say. Uh-huh. And he's more of a Buddhist. Like he has always shown me to think for yourself and find your own spirituality and not to necessarily integrate into any religion, because that's just brainwashing you, and you got to figure out those things for yourself, and define them in your own terms. But my grandma also raised me, and she's predominantly Catholic, and so there was a time where I was really into like Wiccan stuff and ritual work, and which made her very uncomfortable. She never really said it was devil's work or nothing like that. But there was like, oh, God doesn't want you to do that. Uh-huh. And I'm like, well, what the hell? So like I had like this paradox living in this family where like half of it would be okay and half of it was not okay. Yeah. So I kind of kept it hidden, obviously, because you always grow up with these sensibilities that what you're doing is taboo and you don't want to make anybody feel uncomfortable. Yes. But for the most part, it was accepted. And now my family's gravy with it. Like my aunt was a little bit fearful. Like she was the type of person growing up where you couldn't even read Harry Potter. Uh-huh. Because it had to deal with witchcraft. Yep. But I think it's all about not being afraid of what you're doing yourself and embracing it and exposing it in a very, very logical and comprehensive manner where they can understand why you're doing what you're doing. Mm-hmm. And you'll be able to articulate that it's not like fucking witchcraft in a bad sense. You know what I mean? Yes. Like it's not, you're not fucking doing something evil. Yeah. And my grandma understands what I'm doing now. She understands it's actually a healing component, and it's a tool for self-development. So she's curious and she wants to know what it is, and it's not necessarily telling the future. So she's comforted by that. Yep. Yeah. So I've been blessed on those ends. Good. But it wasn't always like crystal clear road of peacefulness. Like it's been kind of rocky. Yeah.
Yeah, I grew up in a conservative Christian family for a while.
Oh my gosh, I can only imagine.
Yeah, so I feel you on the one side there. But so did you ever go through a phase where you were like feeling guilty about the instincts? Like, can you read people very well? I mean, obviously, yeah, but without the cards in your daily life, are you able to like look at someone and be like, um, I know that person's intentions, and I know that person's intentions.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people do this. Everybody does this, and it kind of manifests as anxiety, or it manifests in ways that we are not very much aware or in tune of, because everyone essentially is just like a big freaking living ball of energy, and you come across all these characteristics and these types of energies that you don't really know or are projected towards you, and you don't really know what's going on. A lot of people internalize it and they think it's themselves feeling that way, but it's really someone around you that can be having a bad day, or they have like fears and anxieties that you're picking up, and you really think that it's you. It's taken a long time for me to kind of be aware of that, and what's my own energy and what am I picking up from other people. I would say I definitely can read people. I'm very sensitive to energies. I feel like I'm a hermit, and I don't want to be a hermit.
Yes.
But I'm starting to understand. I used to feel guilty for kind of like needing to be by myself a lot and not really comprehending why. And now I kind of understand it's because because I pick up on everything. That I'm like, I need to go to the cave. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it's me. I'm like so moody, and Virgos are usually very moody.
Okay.
But now it's like through a lot of reading and doing research and personal experience and meditating, I've been aware of what's really my own energy and what's going on with people around me. And you're absolutely right. You don't need the tarot to read people. It's a nice clutch. It's a nice barrier to make that other person feel comfortable and to make me feel comfortable, and just to have another tool to just channel things from. But you don't need it. A lot of people don't. A lot of people are extremely psychic without being aware that they are. And there's a lot of protection that goes into that. You have to find means to ground yourself so that you're not always like, picking up stuff.
Yes.
It's a work in progress.
Yeah. Well, what do you find helps, or what is your grounding ritual for your day? Do you start in the morning, or do you is it sort of you roll with the punches when you have something difficult happen, and then you're like, okay, well, hold on a second, and then you ground yourself, and then you continue?
Both.
Okay.
I start off my day, because I'm doing so much work that involves spirit and all this energy and interpretation and psychic stuff and healing. Now I've been really good with starting my day off with a personal ritual. I like to do energy work in my bed before I wake up, which is just like, maybe rubbing my hands together, doing a visualization, getting my body ready, like bringing in particular frequencies, and I'll visualize a golden light for grounding and protection, or red light. I'll say a mini prayer. I can't say that I'm very religious, but I think like prayer is just really sending out an intention out into the universe. So I really make that a clear intention that I not only am I praying for myself for grounding and protection and to bring in any other things that I want to experience for that day, but I'm also praying for other people in my life. So I have that as like my basis. And water, drinking lots of water helps a lot. It really does, because it just cleanses you and it gets all those channels aligned. And a lot of my water has stones in it. I mix and match stones. Sounds weird, but I like making elixirs. And particular stones don't work for everybody. You have to figure out what works for you. So I'll just like put some, let's say I have a rose quartz in a mason jar glass filled with water that I leave underneath my bed. And I have it marinate there for like at least 24 hours or the night before, so that's the first thing I drink. And I know that's been working for me because it's been bringing me a lot of amazing energy. And it's been having me feel a lot more loving towards myself and a lot more sympathetic and compassionate towards other people. But people might want to alternate. They might want to put a quartz or like black tourmaline or like serpentine stone, whatever works for you. You really have to write down your experiences with that elixir and really test out the waters. It's a lot. You have to think of yourself as a scientist when it comes to energy. because not one thing applies to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's really as simple as that. Another ritual I like to do is like when I'm in the shower, I just like visualize the water like cleansing any negativity from my body
Mm-hmm.
and bringing in like good vibes. Or like, let's say I might need money that day. So I'm like, this water is attracting wealth. And I just like kind of visualize green water. Green's a good color for wealth. It's the power of your imagination, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's very strong. It's
Yes.
very strong.
Do
The
you? Oh, go ahead.
what
I'm
I was
sorry.
gonna say, a good book is Creative Visualization
Creative
by
visualization.
by Shakti Gawain.
Okay. How do you spell that last name?
Um, it is Shakti, Shakti, and Gawain is Ga. Hold up. Hold up. Gawain. Yeah, Gawain.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. Yep. That's a great book to get you rolling with visualization and those activities, and you'll find like an immediate change in your life. I guarantee it.
All right.
For sure.
Do you ever find that you have gotten like attached to certain tools that you have? Or like stones, for example. Have you ever gotten into a situation where you're just like, oh, I can't do this without having my stone on me or
Oh, that's really interesting. You're asking great questions, girl. You're very smart. Um, no.
Okay.
And let me, no, because I make it a very strong point for me personally to remind myself that a lot of these are just tools,
Mm-hmm.
that what you have is inside of you already. This sounds very gimmicky, but what you have is basically everything that you need is inside of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So these are just supplementary friends, you can say, tools that help you, guiding elements that really assist you. But you are the one that's the main power point that gives the element its power. Like without the crystal, without your consciousness, the crystal wouldn't be as effective. It wouldn't be working. It wouldn't be loaning its healing frequencies to you. Yes, there are days when I intuitively know this is going to help me out. This crystal, I need this crystal. Recently, it's been me, and I don't even know where it is. It's in my bag somewhere. It's been my Lemurian crystal. I've been rocking my Lemurian sea crystal. I don't know why. It talks to me. I know I sound crazy. It's like, hey, you need to have me for whatever reason. Mm-hmm. But I guess there's a fine line of dependency, knowing not to be attached by everything. Like you can lose things, and there's a timeline for everything. There's a life and a death line for everything. Yeah. But it's very imperative to know how to listen to your own spirit and how to listen to like your higher source, I guess you can say. And that you don't really need these things, but they're nice to have just in case, because they're just more material things than anything else. You really have to just zone in on the energy itself. Yes. But above, I mean, to just get back to what you're saying, yes, no, your intuition's gonna tell you when it's a good time to carry these things with you. And I think if anything, I'm more attached to my tarot cards. I would say they're like my children. I need to have them on me at all times. I need to have them on me.
Do you pull cards during certain situations?
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Not even situations, like, I don't know what it is with me and tarot. I probably was like a witch in a past life. And because I've always been attracted, like when I say like I was reading at the age of 6, that's like without no books. Like no one's exposed me to the tarots. I didn't know what they were. I just know I needed to have those cards, and I've always wanted to have those cards with me. Wow. But yeah, I pulled them out in the train. When I'm waiting for the train throughout my day, I have various decks on top of the dresser
Mm-hmm.
here with stones on top of them, and I'll pull one out not only for the card of the day for everyone, but for myself personally. And I have oracle decks that I consult. If you're intending to read, it's excellent practice.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people have this myth that you can't have multiple tarot readings in a month, and to a certain extent I can understand what they're saying, because again it goes back to that dependency.
Yeah.
You're not really listening to your own wisdom. You're just like,
Yes.
you just want someone to tell you what to do, and you want to be told. It's not very empowering.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's a great tool, and it's a great guidance system for you to just fall back on. Like if you want to practice developing your intuition, or you want to check up on someone that is not physically present, or you just want to be playful and kind of develop a storyline with the cards itself while you're waiting. Like idle time is idle time. I like to download podcasts and stuff about the tarot or astrology, and I'll put that into my MP3 while I'm in transit, because I travel a lot.
Yeah.
It's New York City, so you're always on this train and stuff.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
But I get a lot of curiosities and people asking me questions on the train when they see me play with the cards. I also feel a little uncomfortable, so it's a practice on self acceptance and being okay to kind of be a witch in public.
Yeah.
Which is the right word, but being okay to expose this to the masses.
Yes.
And represent your true self like that. You know, it's a work in progress. You get a lot of weird looks, and you get a lot of weird vibes, but then, you know, I have to remind myself to focus on myself and not to care about others' opinions. Like, I'm not killing anybody, you know what I mean?
Right. Well, so I guess going back to...
Did you write down a bunch of questions you wanted to ask me?
Yes. Yes and no.
No, I think that's great. You're like me.
Yeah.
I love it. I think that's brilliant. I feel like this could have been an interview.
I know. I was just thinking that. I was like, oh, maybe I should post this somewhere, because I feel like there's a lot of people who would be like interested in hearing, you know, our opinion on this. I like you said with the hermit thing, I'm the same way, and I know that I can feel so lonely sometimes.
Yeah. Oh my God, girl, you hit the head on the nail.
Yes, and it's just like, well, there are other people like us out there, and we don't have to feel so lonely. We can talk about these things.
It's you know what? It's not even you. It is your soul telling you that you're in a stage of development, and you need to be intimate with yourself above anyone else.
Yes.
And you know, now that I'm starting to understand that a little bit more, just these little self revelations that come to you over time. It's not like I'm sitting in my room and thinking about why I'm so antisocial, because I'm really not antisocial, but there's like bouts throughout the day where I feel like, why am I like such a black cat in my room in front of a computer for hours, or just like chilling?
Yep.
You know, it's just like your own intuition telling you that you need to like space out and have some zen time alone, for whatever reason. You might not even know until like weeks later.
Oh, yeah.
If you ever do know, you just have to honor yourself, you know.
Yeah.
And it's not abnormal. And this society, we're so hell bent on doing a million things at once and being consistently busy and preoccupied, that we forget to tend to our own needs and to listen to ourselves and to take us some alone, intimate time, so that, like, you know, it kind of makes sense now why it's always happening for us that we want to be by ourselves.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Because we're like overstimulated with so many things that your body's like, hello, you need to shut down.
Yes. That's actually a perfect segue into what I want to ask you, which is, when you... So let's say you're in an intimate setting for work. I saw that you work at a school.
Yeah, I do. I work in 2 middle schools.
Wow. Yeah. So how do you deal with a situation where you can't really like go off into your own corner, but you're faced with like someone who has a really like negative vibe that day, or just doesn't seem to like you, or any slew of things, but it's just like I don't like being around this person. How do I look at this person with enough acceptance that I'm able to see them as myself and understand where they're coming from, but also with enough personal and healthy boundary where I'm not giving up too much of myself.
That's a really interesting question. That's really interesting. I've dealt with that with one of my coworkers who you gotta be completely real with yourself. When you don't like somebody, it's not always gonna be all peace, zen, and freaking crystal. Like I think a lot of people try and fake it,
Yeah,
and this is what pisses me
that.
off. There's like something about social media where people are like zen and rainbows and unicorns, and I sit in the corner and I meditate. No, I like to sit in a corner and envision how the many ways I'm gonna fucking kill you. I might not verbalize it because I still have a sense of respect. Like I don't want them to, but I'm very. I have like anger issues too, and I still like, and then I feel guilty. I'm like, oh my god, I can't. No, but literally, I'm being completely honest. Sometimes, a lot of the time, um, you have to express yourself in that moment, and you have to be very tactful in how you do it. So I'm not going to start a physical altercation. I'm not going to start a verbal altercation. I'm not going to be verbally insulting you or whatever. I'm not going to curse you out. But in my merry-go-round of a world, I'm going to tell you what I need you to know. And then I'm going to take myself back from that emotional reaction, being like, okay, maybe this person, there's so many variables here that I'm not aware of. Maybe this person is experiencing things that they're not articulating. They might have a bad day. Who knows? It's also important to protect yourself. If you don't have to be exposed to that person, I'd advise you to stay away from that energy for the time being, or just focus on something else that's gonna get you, just being mindful of exactly what's happening, being like, okay, this is the negative energy I'm experiencing, and this is where I'm coming from, and I am consciously setting up like a barrier, and I'm not giving into that energy, and just being aware, be like, I don't have to have a reaction towards what's going on to you, because that's their power winning over you.
Yeah.
I feel. I also carry stones with me for that purpose. Like a black onyx helps absorb all those emotions, and it keeps you grounded so that you're not inclined to react without thinking. That you're very conscious of your own reactions, and you're conscious of other people, and what they're going through.
Yeah.
But that happens a lot because I work with a lot of students, and they're middle school students. They're 11 to 13. So you're dealing with hormones, and you're dealing with attitudes.
Yeah.
I'm also some of my coworkers are very catty women. Yeah. I'm a dance teacher, so they feel it, I don't know, maybe some of them have like insecurities about their bodies, so they might project that in very passive aggressive ways. If it comes to the point where I feel personally disrespected, I will say something straight up, not like in a distasteful way, but I'll say, is there, do we have an issue going on here? Yeah. Do I need to know? Like, I feel like I'm getting this type of energy from you. I kind of want to understand why, and I back it up with proof. I'm not just like being, overtly emotional for no reason.
Right.
A lot of it's just ignoring it, not giving your energy to that focus, and it changes. Yes. Just shooting them beams of love if you can in that moment. If you're conscious to do that at that moment, that's not always the case. Yes. Like I said, I shoot bullets at them more than beams of love.
It's awesome to hear you say that, because I always get so down on myself it's the whole spiritual community thing where we think we can't experience those negative thoughts because that's not right, that's not okay. And then have you heard of Teal Swan?
Yes, I love
Yes,
her.
oh my goodness, she's been saving my life the
I
past
need to sit
few
down and
weeks.
watch all her videos, but she is
Oh
so
my goodness,
amazing.
she
And I
is
bought her
amazing.
book, and it's phenomenal. And
Is it the Creator in the Sky or Shadows Before Dawn? Because I know there's that new one that came out.
oh, I didn't know she had a new one. It is
Yeah.
The Creator in the Sky.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I haven't gotten any of them yet. I've just been watching the videos.
That is good enough because essentially what's all in the videos is all in the book. So you really don't need it, but this is just like a Christmas gift that I got from my family, and I had like this gift card to buy a Kindle book, so I bought that one.
Awesome. Very cool. Yeah, she's great. Oh my gosh. Because I had been listening to Abraham Hicks for a while,
Mm-hmm.
and then that sort of I got too heavy into that and was thinking, oh, all these negative things happening are because of me, and I need to change my outlook, and I can't think any negative thoughts and all this stuff, and then
No. You absolutely need negative thoughts.
Yep.
And that's the thing is that I think people with spirituality, they don't understand that and it's taken me a while to get to this level too, but everything is in terms of judgment, and there's no judgment. Like, you need the bad and the good. You need your negative thoughts too. Like, and negative thoughts really aren't that potent. Like, it goes back to people feeling guilty and shame and having all that and judging themselves, and to be completely present in the moment is to accept that you're going to have these bad feelings and these bad thoughts, but you have to, like, as soon as they surface, you have to express that or acknowledge that in order for it to pass through.
Yes.
Because if not, you're gonna be like holding up this resistance, and it's just going to replicate and repeat and repeat and repeat, and that's the saga. Like, you feel guilty, and you feel judgmental against yourself, and you feel judgmental against other people. This shouldn't be a judgment. It should be like neutrality. Just, it is what it is. It's a negative thought. Next. I'm okay with that. Just move on to the next energy that's flowing your way. And just being conscious of that. Making an intention. Like, you just make a small intention in your brain at that moment. Like, oh, I had a negative thought. I would like to start thinking positive thoughts. Or I would like to feel like this. Instead of being like, oh, God,
Not again, no.
You have to be 100% real with yourself.
Yes, yeah.
That
has been my lesson for the past few months, is learning not to feel guilty or shame about what I'm feeling, feel through it, express what I need to express, without being afraid of rocking the boat if I really need to express it. It's been a learning experience.
Totally.
But
it's always a learning experience.
Yes.
I mean, I'm not even certain if you'll ever get it. I don't have it down. There's always like ebbs and flows on how I feel and my perception of myself and how I feel I'm treating other people. I'm always trying to work to be a better person, but that in itself is a pitfall, because I feel like a lot of self-work and self-development also takes you away from being who you really are and accepting who you are and just being okay with that, because it's like kind of telling the universe that you're not good enough and you're always trying to be better. That's my problem. So I'm trying to be like, I'm working with, hey, it's okay being a hermit, and hey, it's okay being a pseudo-alcoholic. It's okay being lazy. It's okay wanting to curse somebody out. It's okay being a jealous bitch. It's okay being petty. You know what I mean? Like, you just gotta regain a comfort level with yourself.
Yes. Especially with the lazy one. I love being lazy.
Yeah. Me too.
I love my time. I love just looking at things that I'm interested in, and It's frustrating.
No, I feel you, and it's not laziness. It's just being still
Yeah.
and being comfortable and being chill,
Yeah.
not having
Yeah.
to do 18 things at once.
Yes.
I have a guilt that I think I got from my dad, who is always working on a bazillion projects and is always busy. And the moment he like stops to just chill or maybe like eat his meal or do whatever, he feels guilty because he feels like he's not being productive and time's being wasted.
Yeah.
And but before you know it, like I'm acting the same way. Like I feel like I never have time to hang out with my friends because I'm always working towards something, and I can't really enjoy the moment because I'm just like thinking about the next moment and what I need to accomplish.
Yep.
So it's just like this sense of busyness, and it's like, and it's also like, what am I stuffing myself with? What am I trying to avoid? Why am I filling my days? Like, that's this escapism, just as drugs and sex, and just also spiritual pursuits can be a form of escapism if you're obsessed with it or if you're just like attached to it.
Yeah.
So there's just a lot of stuff to be aware.
Yes.
You know, it's a lot of learning.
Yes.
Lots of learning going on.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm right there with you with that one too. That's been another one that I've been slowly learning to accept. Is just, I don't have to prove anything. I don't, even if I was. I think this is something out of one of Teal Swan's videos, but she said even if you were a vegetable on this earth, you have value. Even if you didn't get anything done, you're here, so you have value. That's it.
Yeah, and that's really interesting and kind of tricky to conceptualize.
Yes.
Oh, I'm inherently worthy because I exist.
Yes.
What the fuck does that mean?
Yep.
You know, like
yeah.
Like when gurus say that shit, I'm like, okay, but can you explain it to a 27-year-old girl from Brooklyn? Because I don't really like. I kind of get what you're saying, but it doesn't compute.
Yeah,
like, and I don't know if you can conceptualize it. It's just something that maybe you just know over time and personal experience.
Yes.
I don't get these freaking yoginis and these people. They're like, we're all worthy because we are one with the light and because you are a divine expression of the universe and there will never be another part of you. That's why you should love yourself. And then people are like, what? Like, what? Like, yeah, I totally get what she's saying. No, you don't get what the fuck she's saying. Stop lying to yourself. Yep. Yeah. I don't even fucking know what she's saying. It sounds good. It sounds like great cotton candy I want to eat in the morning, but I don't know what the fuck she's saying.
Yeah, where's the practical application for us people that have to live in a real world?
No, but legit, I think it's this present moment business that really saves a lot of people. If we can know how to apply it, what does it mean to be present? What does it mean to live in the now? If living in the now means you have to curse out your mother, then curse out your mother because that's what's surfacing right now.
Yep.
And I'm still working with that.
Oh yeah, me
still
too.
Working with like really being vulnerable and being transparent and playing with the energies around me and trying not to think 5 steps ahead, not to think in the past, but being like, who is this being right now? How does my energy feel? Da-da-da-da-da. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, I was looking through your Instagram a few days ago, actually, and saw those, how you have that checkup list of questions, like the 5 questions. And then you said...
Did I put that on my Instagram or my Twitter?
It was on your Twitter, yes.
I should put that on Instagram.
Yes.
You're right.
Yes.
I'm starting to... I would ultimately like a store. I want a spiritual store in Brooklyn.
Yes.
And so all my pursuits on Instagram and Twitter are just like a way to kind of advertise that and to build a community that's comfortable with talking about spiritual matters and things that they're experiencing on an energetic scale without it having to be taboo.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So It's like a safe haven. That's what I want the store to be, like people of different denominations who are not going to be ridiculed or shamed or judged for their own particular beliefs and practices.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully, in the sharing of this knowledge, we learn how to heal ourselves and we gain a lot of awareness and we can help other people out in the process. We come out of it knowing a ritual or a technique that can completely revolutionize our lives.
Yes.
Yeah, but that 5-question list actually comes from my director, the director of my middle school program.
Oh.
And she's been telling me that she's been doing it 3 times a day. Now, I have my own list that I created. She has her own too. But it's been helping her keep grounded and keep focused on her purpose.
Right.
Because I have like ADD. I'm not diagnosed, but like my focus can go on a trillion things.
Yes.
And it's really, I always carry like 5 freaking journals with me because I am summoning so many ideas. I dance, I do art, I do so many things. So I'm like, that's a choreography. This is a costume. I want to do this tarot block. I got to write about this. I want to do a video on that. Oh, cool. This is a tarot reading that I should come up with. Or, like it's just so many things that I can't possibly do at one moment. So I got to write it all down.
Yes. Do you ever get to the point where you have like all these journals and you just move too fast forward and you never look back at the old journals?
Yeah, that's what's happening with all those journals.
Yep.
And you know what? I have a lot of them upstate in my dad's house in the basement. And when I go, I always look back at those journals and I don't really like to read them. I kind of feel childish. I kind of feel like almost shameful of my emotions. I write a lot about relationships.
Well,
you know what? But that's what I'm saying. It's like learning how to not judge yourself and learning how to. But I'm like, oh God, why am I such a gaylord? Writing about Joseph and Stephen and all these emotions that I was experiencing at the time. And like, there's so many cool things I could have been writing about or articulating and expressing. But most of my time, I have a lot of journals for multiple purposes. I have goals journals. I have a dream journal. I have an intention journal. I have a synchronicity journal. I have like a choreography. So it's a little obnoxious, but that's like the OCD part of my Virgo personality is that I need everything to fall in its own compartment for me to feel that I'm somewhat organized in the mind. And most of the time I fill them up and I don't see them again until I have the inclination to do so. Like something tells me to check up on them. Yeah. I also write crazy. Like my handwriting is very thin and long and it looks like an ancient writing.
Ancient scribes.
Form. Yeah, I don't know. It gives you a headache just looking at it. So.
Yeah. Is there, other than the questions that you have for yourself and you're checking in, how do you keep your focus when, there's all things that we have to do in the day that maybe we don't want to do, right? So what do you find helps?
Responsibilities, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh,
responsibilities, or yeah. So how in the moment that you're doing these things, or before you have to do these things, how do you set your mind to be like, okay, I understand that this is not like the most fun thing to do, but I know it will take me to this place, and that will be cool.
Well, you answered it. First of all, I feel like I'm never getting shit done.
Same here.
And I just bought a passion planner to help me figure out my life. Because I've got so many deadlines that I feel like because I'm so scattered doing multiple things at once, nothing is really getting accomplished. So I've been writing it down on like a time scale, like, oh, these are the hours that I'm going to do this, and this is what I'm going to do within those hours, and then the next is what, you know what I mean? So it's very structured. But what's been helping me is asking the simple question of, is this providing a higher purpose? Is this going to help me accomplish my goal? If it's a waste of time, what can I be doing right now that's productive and is fun? When am I most inclined to do that? That is as like a step in the right direction. And I think thinking of the end result, which is ultimately what you want to do, thinking of your desires and your passions really help you discipline yourself. You really have to kind of be your own parent and really be on your ass, or have friends that can hold you accountable. And there's so many ways to do that. Like whether it's you set up an alarm on your phone to be like, okay, now think if you're working with intention, and think if you're working on purpose, and check in on yourself like multiple times a day. Like, is this conversation productive? Am I listening to something that can be teaching me, or am I just listening to this song that I really like, this really nice, but I could be doing something else? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's really being time efficient and in keeping the end goal in mind, which is why creative visualization will help you out a lot.
Okay.
Because the more you can visualize it in your brain with all these textures and all these elements and all these senses, the realer it is. And once you feel, you'll get really empowered by knowing that what you're doing at that moment is for a higher cause, and is going to ultimately lead you up to where you want to go. So you don't feel like you're wasting time. When you feel like you're wasting time, that's when you get really lethargic, and you get confused, you get like lost in translation in space. But I think if you're working with purpose and you're working with intention, your energy just is like a laser beam, tunnel vision. And you can't be stopped. Yeah.
How have you ever got like what would I call it? It's like pre-creation anxiety. Like
oh yeah. Oh my God, all the time.
Yeah. How do you
for dancing? For the most part, dancing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How do you overcome that? Like I know personally for me with artwork, for example, I will procrastinate the hell out of starting something.
Yup.
Because I hate the intimidating blank page, you know, that you're faced with, or just the constant thought of, I don't know if I can get it out of my head the way I want it, you know, to look on the paper. So, is there any like exercises you do when that comes up, or?
Well, no. You have to be your own bitch, and you have to just do the work.
Okay.
You just do the work. Like, I think if you're too busy thinking about how it's going to look, if you're trying to compare it to old work, if you're trying to, it's just a lot of that anxiety that's popping up is usually you not being rooted in the present moment, and you thinking about the end result and how it's going to get there, and comparing it to your past work and all that shit. Like, your job is just to sit down and do the work and work with what's going to pop up at that moment, and just go with the flow. I procrastinate a lot, and it is like, I can only relate in terms of the dancing, because I will try to do a choreography, which is like fucking going to prison for me, because I just hate it. I get really self-conscious about my style of dancing. I start beating myself up for not practicing daily. I start comparing myself to other dancers or other choreographies that are out there. Or I'll start thinking about other dances that I want to do and not the one that I'm working on at the moment. Yep. Just like anything to escape the fact that I need to do this work. Yes. What's been helping me is having another person there with me that has to do the work with me, and feeling kind of accountable and responsible to actually put something down. Yeah. What also helps, so like a buddy system is really great. But if you don't have that, really, when I've been faced with extreme deadlines and time frames to work things under, I've been writing things down. Like, this hour, I'm going to do maybe 15 seconds of a song, and I'm just going to accept whatever comes out, and I'm going to make the intention that whatever is coming out is my best, and I'm just going to accept that. Like later in the future, if I want to change it, that's fine. But if I sit and marinate on my work and I tear it up and I like shit on myself, nothing's ever going to get done. Yep. So I rather have shit quality work that I think is shit quality at that moment than to have nothing and have wasted 2 hours just like beating myself up and having nothing. You know what I mean?
True.
And usually what's often the case is that what I think is shitty ends up being like something that I'm really in love with like 3 days later.
Yes. Yep. Yeah.
So it's like, why the fuck was I beating myself up? There was no point.
Yep. But I like that a lot. The intention that what's coming out now is what I'm going to accept as my best.
And another book, which is a very fast read and it's amazing, that teaches you about being an artist and procrastination, is the War of Art, I think it's called. The War of Art. Wait, let me look it up. Yeah, it's called The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. Okay. And it's like breaking through blocks and winning your inner creative battles. And it talks all about exactly what we were just discussing. Procrastination, the quality of your work. This guy is essentially saying, he's like, there's like this higher energy that's coming through your body, and your job is not to criticize your freaking work. Your work has nothing to do with you. You're just a slave to your work, and you have to sit down and put everything out there. It's like, don't. Because like, and then it reminds me of how I was as a child. Like when you're a kid, you just like create shit out of your ass and you don't second guess it. And you know, you're amazingly creative, and you're like this being that can't stop being innovative, and you don't like, what kid is like, I don't like this drawing, it looks like shit. My dance looks like, no kid says that. They're like, this is the coolest motherfucking thing I've done, and I want to perform for everybody. And I want my artwork all up on your walls, even if it's a nasty looking stick figure. They think it's like a Picasso piece. Yeah, so like, you have to get back into that mentality of non-judgment and just like fucking do it. You have to express the energy that's like trying to come out through you.
Yep. Yeah. Oh. Okay. I'll leave with this last question, and then we can go to the reading, because it's been like an hour of talking. But it's awesome. Okay. It's been awesome.
Yeah, awesome.
Thank you.
I'm down for talking. I like talking.
It feels good. Especially after our hermit phases.
Yeah.
But so in terms of artwork, for one, I guess there's two parts. Do you ever get like postpartum depression after a manifestation occurs, and you're just like, what do I do now? It's over. What do I do? And then secondly, how do you know when to let go of certain things? Like, I know I can hoard my artwork forever, and then be like, oh well, I don't want to give it away. Really, I kind of want to do this with it, or I want to get paid for it, but then it just sits there and I don't really do anything.
Okay. The manifestation process.
Yes.
Were you trying to describe like when is a good time to let go of your work in general, like to share it with the masses?
Yeah. Like,
I usually don't share mine. I'm still working on that because I'm so critical and self-conscious of it.
Yes.
And ultimately, I think it's a matter of knowing that it can help a lot of people. Mm-hmm. Your work is not for you. And by having that mentality that you need to keep it for yourself is very selfish. Yes. It's very self-centered, because ultimately you're always thinking about you. But you don't, the energy that I'm creating this work with is not inherently me either. It's something bigger than me. And there's a higher purpose as to why I created it. I don't really know what that is, but by sharing it with other people, maybe that can change their life. Maybe that can inspire them. Maybe they need to see or feel a type of message that's going to motivate them to do something. I don't know, but art is meant to be shared. It is like a universal experience for people to dive in and eat from.
Yeah.
And I can't answer that question for you. When is a good time to let go? You personally, in an intuitive scale, will know when your work is done. And you know also when you're holding on to it for selfish purposes or for fears and anxieties and reasons that, you can't comprehend. Right. So that's a battle. You know, what you create should always be that, and I'm also dealing with that too.
Yeah.
And we're always dealing with that.
Oh, yeah.
But your work is inherently not yours.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's what you need to be mindful of, is everybody's.
Okay.
And the more you latch onto it, it festers with this neediness and kind of like selfish, greedy energy.
Yeah.
And it's almost like an oxymoron, because I feel like you see a lot of people on social media, they're like, la, 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 my life, da, 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 and I ate a kale salad. And I used to be like, I don't give a shit. But then, I stopped back and I'm like, let me stop hating, because I'm just projecting my insecurities, because I don't feel comfortable doing that. So I'm hating on this bitch because she's changing lives. Like, I don't even know. It could be like a 12-year-old girl who's like, oh my God, what is kale salad? Oh my God, I want to live my life more consciously. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so,
yeah,
and she's just being herself. And meanwhile, I'm like being a bitch bucket.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, what was your first question? I'm sorry.
Oh, no.
I feel like they tied in.
Yeah, I'm sorry. No, you actually answered you answered them both, actually. Because you answered the manifestation process with thinking about, okay, well, it's not yours, so.
Oh, postpartum.
Yes,
postpartum. Yes.
Okay.
But there's always like a regeneration period. Like, usually I've been noticing that with my work, with my dancing and my tarot, there are ebbs and flows. So I might dedicate myself. There might be a crazy month where I have 3 gigs and I have to come up with 5 choreographies, and I have to mix the music, and I have to find places to perform, and I have to create the costumes. So I'm like a mother birthing all these projects, and I'm giving my heart and my soul. And it's also is a creation and a what do you call, it's life and death, because you're creating this project and you're also killing yourself in the process. You're going through your psyche, you're going through all these doubts and these fears, like, is it good enough? Am I doing this right? Does it look good? It's not. I'm not worthy. Who am I to be presenting this? Why am I even doing this? What did I get into? It's too late. Oh, you look like shit. You need to go practice for 3 more hours,
Yep.
But in the process, you're building something really beautiful. So after that's all done and the work is all done and exposed, you feel empty.
Yeah.
You're like, oh my God, I have nothing else to work on. But usually when that happens, I get an influx of tarot. And then there's a tarot.
Okay.
What I've been noticing is that when you're on the brain wave of creating, there's minimal time in between. So you always have another project. So one project might inspire me to be like, oh, but I want to add on to like this dance. Like, oh, how would this dance look if I were possessed with this energy? Mm-hmm. Oh, I hear this song. Now I want to create to that. And I'm already on to the next project.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's really interesting. Like, I do have that postpartum, but I usually take that as an indication that I need to just chill and get inspiration around me, kind of build up again, and have that simmer and conjure up in the cauldron before I create my next masterpiece.
Great. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh God, the creation process. To be an artist is... What I'm always working on is just to channel higher power. I was like, you know what? Let the universe speak through me. Let me get out of your way so I can do your job. And let me just shut my mind that I don't criticize or judge anything. I'm working on that on a daily basis.
Yeah.
With tarot, it's the same thing with tarot. The minute you start judging the your perceptions and your visions, the reading goes to shit. Because it's not about you. It's like, how can I be of best service for this person in front of me and read this energy for this person? It has nothing to do with me at all. That's why I don't like reading books and getting definitions from books, because it's like someone else is telling you what that card means, and that's all relative to what you're picking up in that moment.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's an ebb and flow. Yeah. Artists are crazy.
Yeah.
But like, what is an artist? Everybody's an artist.
That's true.
Life is art. Everything, like the way you breathe is art. The way you blink, the way you chew your food, the way you type, everything is art. Yeah, but people don't see it like that. You think you have to freaking draw a picture. Look at my art. I draw it, and you're so attached to this creation that's not even, it's not yours. It's not yours. Like, I don't know where it's coming from, but clearly it chose me to create it. This dance is my child, and it's telling me you are the mother. Birth me. And I'm like, oh my God, how do I do that? Oh my God. Birthing pain. Yep. But it just needs to come out in whatever way, you know? And that's also being in the moment, right?
Yes.
It's also getting yourself out of the way in the past or in the future, and just being present on what energies are you conjuring right now for that cross.
Yep. Yeah.
Magicians, man. Everyone's a magician.
Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's definitely it's been, well, what you just said is really powerful. It's actually it's something I haven't really thought about before, in terms of like really dedicating my mind to the idea that it's not mine. Because if it's so, like, so many people will come up and say, oh, well, your stuff is great, like, you should be doing this with it, and you should be doing this with it, and you need to do this and this and this. And I'm not, I'm getting caught up in that whole, oh, well, you need to be doing this or else you're wasting your talents or you're wasting your time, and forgetting that it's actually being channeled through me, so however it comes out or whatever I decide to do with it is perfectly fine.
Yeah. And you also, what helps me is, it kind of sounds a little bonkers, but it's really effective, is I really pay attention to the energy of my creation, and I have it speak to me like it was a conscious living being. Mm-hmm. So it's like me being like the parent, so to speak, and being like, okay, is my child hungry? What does my child need? What do you want? Do you want me to add a little bit more of this? Do I need to change this? Do you want to be seen by people? Like, and get myself completely out of it. Like, who's Tatianna? Shut Tatianna down. It's all about this piece, whether it's like an art piece that I created, a picture, painting, a portrait, a dance, whatever. What do you want? Like, I made you from God knows where for a reason. So now where do we go from here?
Right.
And intuitively feel those vibes. Like, what is your piece telling you? Sometimes it's like, oh, I don't want to be shared. I just needed to be made. And that's okay. Cool. Or maybe you need to make me now so that in 4 months from now, when you're making another piece, I can join that. And we can co-create. You know?
Yeah.
So it's really a matter of getting yourself out of the way.
Yeah. And it seems like paradoxically, it's also about making sure you're very in tune with yourself as well. To be able
it's always about that. It's all because your energy, so you need to be very in tune with your energy. And that is such a fluff ball thing. Like when I was talking about fluff balls and Zen and stuff, is very challenging to articulate to somebody being in tune with your energy. Because what does that mean? You have to experience that for yourself. Yep. And I can't dive into your body like I'm Neo and like change things up and have you, have that experience induced in you. Like, it's all personal perspective, personal experience, and a willingness to open up. Not everybody's ready. Not everybody's going to be ready. Not everybody's conscious of their power to do that.
Yes.
So, yeah, that I think that is the key to life is just getting out of your own way and letting some higher things speak through you.
Yeah.
I'm always like, that's my personal prayer. How do I get out of my own way? Because we hold ourselves back from anything. We can do anything we want, and we're holding ourselves back. This is inherently what Abraham Hicks talks about in resistance.
Yeah.
That's why they're always like, take a nap. Because when you take a nap, you chill.